Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting on Channels Television live from Lagos. And here are some of the pictures that you sent in. We'll begin with this one from Ofa Road in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, showing a fallen electricity pole. Our eyewitness reporter says the location of the pole makes it very dangerous to residents. He wants the relevant authorities to do something urgent about it. Our next photo is from Ajah area of Lagos State, showing a police van being pushed. The eyewitness reporter did not state exactly why the van could no longer move. He wants government to make sure that vehicles for patrol are in top form. Next is this image from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, showing people. Our eyewitness reporter says our students protesting an alleged imposition of fees, which they say is uncalled for. The next photo is from Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, showing people waiting to buy petrol. Our eyewitness reporter says fuel there goes for as much as 120 naira per litre. And finally is this picture from Warri in Delta State, showing people also waiting with their jerry cans to buy petrol. Our eyewitness reporter says they had to wait for hours to get fuel. They're calling on the government to make the product available and at a regulated price. Thanks for sending in those pictures, and know that you too can become an eyewitness reporter for Channels Television. The Minister of Education has defended the removal of the Vice Chancellors of 12 new federal universities, saying this decision is not illegal. The Minister defended the government's action when he appeared before the House of Representatives Committee on Tertiary Education and Services. Members of the committee, however, disagreed with the Minister on the legality of government's action in removing the university's heads. Our correspondent, Lanre Lasisi, reports.
Last week, the House of Representatives passed a resolution to investigate government's decision to remove the vice-chancellors of 12 universities in the country. To help the House in its mandate, the Minister of Education appeared before a committee of the House. The minister says government's action is legal, as there is no law backing the establishment of the universities.
Speaking legally, you can say the appointments predated the law, so it couldn't have been because of the law that they are in existence. And without a law in place, that power reverts to the visitor, and that is why the visitor exercised the power and appointed new ones.
The lawmakers disagree with this position.
For you to say there is no law governing these universities really takes us by surprise, because we knew that we passed the Establishment Act of the 12 universities, which all were signed by former President Jonathan.
President Obasanjo commissioned the Universal Basic Education in Sokoto on the 30th of September 1999. It was in 2004 that the act came into existence. But that did not nullify what was done from 1999, from that 30th of September to 2004.
Former Minister of State Education on the process of nominating the new vice-chancellors for the universities.
The president went to the place and chose by himself. It must have been a recommendation from some quarters.
The importance of that, sir?
The importance, what we are saying is that did the president, and let us use the constitutional word here, the visitor, did the visitor went personally and pick those that were appointed? It must have been from a recommendation from some quarters.
So
we want to know, yeah.
The president has many sources of recommendation. I'm sure the party must have given him some names. I'm sure he must have got some names from, certainly not from the Ministry of Education, but I'm sure the party has given him names. The party has been given names. Yes, I mean, he has to take care of the political, this thing. Huh? Look.
The lawmakers were not satisfied with the position of the minister. The lawmakers have adjourned the meeting till next week, when they hope to continue with the investigation. The minister is also to appear on that date with new facts on the matter. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
Let's take you now to Abuja, where Linda Akiwe is standing by with more on the news at 10. Hi, Linda.
Hello, Amarachi, and welcome to the Federal Capital Territory. The federal government has restated its pledge to revamp tertiary education in the country in order to improve the nation's development. Speaking at the inauguration of the governing councils of 12 new federal universities, the Minister of Education, Mr. Adamu, says issues of funding and financial poverty are being resolved.
The National Universities Commission.
Pro-chancellors, chancellors and vice-chancellors of 12 new federal universities converge in Abuja to witness the inauguration of the governing councils of the school. The Minister of Education, before inaugurating the councils, pledges government's commitment to funding education.
This government believes that universities are critical in the effort to achieve national economic prosperity through the provision of relevant skilled human capital and policy research outcomes. As you are no doubt aware, Nigeria faces a very unpleasant reality: declaring oil revenue, heightened insecurity, endemic corruption, as well as a ballooning youth population seeking places in the university system.
The chairman, Senate Committee on Tertiary Education, bemoans brain drain being experienced in the education sector.
There is a capital flight on education, about $2 billion. And if you can inject $2 billion in Nigerian, higher education, obviously we won't have another capital flight, but we'll have Nigerians, graduates that can do better, technicians, engineers, doctors.
At the end of the inauguration, the Governing Council Chairman of the Federal University, Otuoki, pledges the commitment of appointees of the councils to the smooth administration of the universities.
I consider, with the rest of us, consider this appointment a privilege. And I can assure you that we will not disappoint you.
Away from the inauguration, the Minister of Education inspected some JAM examination centers in Abuja. He was accompanied by the registrar.
The children, they seem to be very comfortable and happy with what they are doing. But still, you know, my question, the previous question I asked has not been answered. That is, there are many who are not conversant, who are not computer literate. So what do you do with them?
NCC has been mandated to give us at least four centers every year. So meanwhile, the first 4 are on, the next 4 will soon be on, and with time, everywhere will be given.
Amidst claims of challenges by students writing the Joint Admission Matriculation Board examination, the use of computer-based tests appears to have come to stay. Nigeria's history clearly shows that mining is the oldest economic activity in the country, but not much has been done to explore its advantages to the benefits of the Nigerian economy. Record shows that organized exploration activities in Nigeria commenced in the early 1900s when the then Secretary to the State for the colony inaugurated mineral surveys of the southern and northern protectorates, respectively. Today, however, this government is making efforts to return mining to its rightful place. Unfortunately, the country is losing 4 trillion naira to illegal mining activities annually. Minerals available in Nigeria include coal, natural gas and crude petroleum. And joining me now on the news at 10 to look at the challenges of mining in the country is the Minister of Solid Minerals, Dr. Kayode Fayemi. Thanks for joining us on the news at 10, Dr. Fayemi.
Thank you for having me, Linda.
Now, at the inception of this administration, you said that this administration will make mining an alternative to crude oil. How well have you gone in achieving this?
Well, that's the marching orders I received from Mr. President to turn mining into an alternative revenue generation source and a job creation opportunity for Nigerians. And we've been in office now for a little over 3 months. We have extensively studied the sector. We've met with all the critical stakeholders. We've gone out to see what actually obtains on the field. And I think there is opportunity in adversity. There is a lot that could be achieved. Nigeria definitely is very well endowed, but we haven't really achieved the optimal level of our endowment. And that's what we must confront by ensuring that we get the right geosciences data in place for investors in the field, but also that we get the licensing regime right. And you would have noticed earlier in the week that we advertised a number of licenses that are due to be revoked if the owners don't live up to the conditions attached to them in the Mining and Minerals Act. It is also to ensure that the large swath of informal, what some people would regard to as illegal miners, are organized in such a manner that they can actually derive maximum benefit rather than go on this shovel and digger spree of searching for alluvial minerals all over the place.
Now, speaking of illegal mining, in a recent survey, it was recorded that Nigeria loses about, and this is an estimate, 4 trillion naira yearly to illegal mining activities. What are you doing? What is your administration, the administration, doing to block these loopholes as we're trying to block loopholes in governance?
Well, you know, there are clearly a lot of people who are engaged in mining activities, formal or informal. A large percentage of those involved are informal. In fact, we have an estimate of about 80% of those involved in mining as engaging in it on an informal basis, artisanal, informal, small-scale basis. The challenge is that they're not really deriving the best they could get from it. Because they're not organized, they don't have access to finance, they don't have the tools to use in order to achieve the optimal best in the sector. So what we're doing now is ensuring that we bring them into cooperatives, we help them to organize themselves better so that they can access finance. But we are also not turning a blind eye to those who are encroaching on the properties of legal miners. So you would have noticed, I spent some time earlier last week in meeting with my colleague from the Ministry of Interior to arrange for our mining surveillance task force by soliciting for assistance from him, civil defense, policing, immigration, customs. All of these bodies have a role to play in order for us to straighten the rough edges in mining.
Now, Dr. Fayemi, you know, there is a market for this illegal mining. Are you looking at that direction of, you know, blocking that aspect of the market, the demand from what is gotten from illegal mining?
Oh, yes,
something you
clearly, particularly for precious metals, things that you can walk away without being noticed through our airports, through our 1,000-odd border posts in the country. That's true. Gold, blue sapphire, a whole range of these, we know people take them illegally outside the country. But we also have to do something about that. We are setting up mineral buying centers, for example, so that those who happen to come across these minerals have a place to go, where they can be assessed, where they can get true value for what they have discovered, rather than being cheated out of their own resources by middlemen and people who are actually not interested in Nigeria growing this industry. We have a duty to ensure that it is a properly policed, properly structured, organized sector, and all of the stakeholders must be brought into realizing that they have a critical stake in protecting the industry.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Fayemi, for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now that's all from Abuja. Back to you in Lagos.
Thanks a lot, Linda. And when the News at 10 returns, mixed reactions trail today's planned boycott of banking services across the country. And in business news, please join us again.